Welcome to Business Statistics. Chapter 1 covers the where, why, and how of data collection, and sets the foundation for our learning through the course. Since data is typically the starting point for any statistical analysis, this chapter discusses various aspects of data, from how data is collected to the different types of data that you'll be working with. So in this first video, we're going to discuss the learning outcomes for the entire course, as well as Chapter 1. And then we're going to cover what exactly is business statistics. Then finally, we'll briefly talk about some career and salary related information for this field. So let's get started. First, let's discuss the learning outcomes for the entire course. In this course, we'll be getting a lot of hands-on practice conducting data analysis using the software program Microsoft Excel. You might be familiar with Excel, either through your personal usage or in other college courses that you've taken already. Excel is a popular tool utilized by data analysts to gather, display, and summarize data. Personally, Excel is one of those programs that I could not live without, both personally and professionally. Next, probability covers the laws of chance and the likelihood that an event will occur. We'll cover the concept of probability across 3 chapters. Finally, statistical inference is the science of drawing conclusions from data on the larger population using estimation techniques and hypothesis testing. Now, let's talk about the learning outcomes for Chapter 1. First, we need to identify and understand the different ways that data is collected. For example, Twitter might embed a poll in your timeline to gather data about your opinion on a topic that might be relevant to your interests. The data could be collected to help make decisions on the types of ads or tweets to share with you. We will go into more detail on the different data collection methods in the Chapter 1.2 video. Next, we'll talk about the difference between a population and a sample, and then we're going to get into the various sampling methods. We'll cover both of these topics in the Chapter 1.3 video. Finally, we will wrap up with the Chapter 1.4 video on the categorization of data by the different data types and how we measure those values for each type. Let's jump into our next topic and talk about the business statistics discipline. In today's world, individuals and businesses are generating massive quantities of data every day, whether it is your online shopping history on Amazon, or your social media activity on TikTok or Instagram. Large businesses such as Walmart manage massive amounts of data on their store sales, customer information, and employee satisfaction data. Finally, government agencies amass extensive data on things like unemployment, income, and education. These are just a few examples. So we could define business statistics as the collection of procedures and techniques used to convert this data into meaningful information to make business decisions. So when we make references to data, what exactly are we talking about? Here we have a snippet of an example dataset from a publishing company on book sales. In the columns, typically denoted with letters in spreadsheet programs such as Excel, these are the variables in the dataset. Then, in the rows, denoted by row numbers, we have the observations in the dataset. So each observation in this dataset is an individual book with data on the number of units sold, number of pages, advertising bucket, etc. So business statistics can be segmented into 2 categories. The first category is descriptive statistics. This involves the procedures and techniques to describe data. We usually accomplish this using charts and tables. So here's an example of a bar chart using that book dataset we saw on the prior slide. This chart is showing the number of books sold by the market classification. We'll cover these concepts in Chapter 2. Finally, descriptive statistics also involves numerical measures. One common example of a numerical measure is the simple average. This represents the average of all data points by adding all up the values and then dividing by the total number of data points that we have. The second category is inferential statistics. This involves the tools and techniques to help decision makers draw inferences on a broader population from a smaller subset of data. In Chapter 8, we learn how we can estimate a single population parameter based on a sample. So for example, it's not feasible to know the starting salary of every MiraCosta graduate, but we could collect a sample of graduates and then estimate it based on the average of the graduates in the sample. So Chapter 9 dives into the topic of hypothesis testing. So instead of estimating the average starting salary of all MiraCosta graduates, we might simply be interested in proving the claim that the starting salary exceeds a specific amount. Ultimately, we'll take the data and we're going to transform it into useful information to assist in the making decisions. Okay, let's wrap this up with some information about salary and career data for this field. So according to the US News and World Report, some of the best jobs with high growth opportunities are directly related to statistical research. So the median salary for these roles is just over $71,000 per year. Careers in this field are diverse. Some other fields include actuaries, auditors, budget analysts, various marketing-related roles, financial analysts, and data analysts. I have spent the most of my career in the field of data analytics using data to extract insights and make recommendations. Although you might be taking this course as a requirement for your major, I hope as you progress through the course, you really consider this field as a potential career for you. Well, that wraps up this first video covering what is business statistics. In the next video, we'll discuss the procedures for collecting data.